This here is the 2023 Kia Stinger GT Tribute Edition. Kia is paying a tribute to the famous Kia Stinger, the car that put the Kia brand on the map. And we're also going to pay respect and a tribute today to the Kia Stinger. Let's roll! It seems like it wasn't too long ago when I first drove this. It seems like it was just yesterday when the Kia introduced the Kia Stinger GT. This thing, in my opinion, is one of those cars that is going to be remembered, well, by generations. And it might go up in value quite a lot now that Kia has absolutely decided to get rid of this thing. And you know, the sad story about this car is not the fact that it's going to be discontinued, but the fact that it's going to be replaced by an electric vehicle, an expensive electric Kia, in my opinion. I did drive the Kia EV6 not too long ago. We did a drag race. It is absolutely fast on a straight line, but I still think this is the most important Kia ever made. Before we talk about the history of this car and how important it was for the brand and also for the fans, let's talk about this one that we have here today. Is the 2023 Tribute Edition, meaning that it comes with some extra things to remember the Stinger. The first thing is, of course, the exterior paint choice, which is a matte gray. It uses its own specific color code. And the next thing is, of course, the glossy side mirrors. We have the glossy wheels as well, with the Brembo red painted letters for the front caliper and the rear side. We have the plate on the door panel at the bottom where it says Tribute Edition, and this model is specifically number 516, so 516 out of 1,000 units. And the next thing is, of course, the crest located onto the headrest. So this is pretty much what Kia is offering with this to remember the Kia Stinger GT, although I would have appreciated if they had offered something a bit more powerful than the standard Kia Stinger GT to send it off forever. Hopefully we don't get an EV version of the Stinger, because that, I think, would be a bit disappointing for the fans. Also, you have this terracotta interior that gives it that luxurious feeling overall. I think this is a good way of sending this car off, because at the end of the day, didn't represent just a sportiness, also a bit of premium feeling. So let's talk about the history of this car. Kia says that they spend a lot of time in research and development for the Kia Stinger GT. In fact, they spent about 9,600 kilometers on a Nürburgring just to develop this thing, and rightly so, they made an absolute beast. I remember jumping into this car for the first time and being absolutely shocked of how good the interior looked, the design of it, the center console, the air vents. It gave the feeling that you were inside a German vehicle, and that's, I think, where this car won a lot. It came with so many tech features, with heated seats, ventilated seats. Although the screen that you see right now is the new model, it still was very competitive at that time. I remember the interior being this beautiful leather red interior, which really gave you an impression you were driving a performance sedan. The next thing is, of course, the exterior. This thing looked like no other car. It did have a bit of that German engineering design. In some cases, it was a little bit of that Audi S5 Sportback design in the back, but a bit more extended, in my opinion. It had quad exhaust system in the back. For the price that you were paying at that time was absolutely insane. It came with Brembo brakes. Of course, yes, a Kia Stinger with Brembo brakes, and it was all-wheel drive, although in some markets it was available as a rear-wheel drive option. And it had a 3.3-liter V6 twin turbocharged engine, which anytime I brought it to the track, somehow it ended up shocking everyone. What? No! 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 I'm taking him! That's not possible! Are you kidding me? Come on, 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 come on! You can't let that Stinger win. You can't. Came up at the end. Come on! No, come on! I did have a bit of a head start. Oh, no, come on! That Kia Stinger blows my mind. Not far, but yeah, he got it. Whether it was in a roll race or a drag race, especially because this was an all-wheel drive car, it took off from a dig like no other. It hooked well, and it came with a launch control. And I think that entire package made this thing so competitive. And with time, of course, companies start introducing tuning options for this vehicle, which made it even faster. And for the money, you could not beat. Because an Audi S5 Sportback, which gave you almost the same space as this, was about $30,000 more in comparison to the Kia Stinger GT, which looked very much like a Sportback S5. The exterior design, in my opinion, is where this thing absolutely nailed it. And of course, it was developed and designed by German engineers and designers. Therefore, it looked very much like a German car, but half the price. The front end was an aggressive look with the lines that fitted perfectly. The headlights as well made it look like it was worth 80 grand. In fact, it was like about $55,000 when it first came out. The rear end was very aggressive as well. And of course, they did a few updates throughout the years, like the taillight changed a little bit with that light bar in the center now, and the quad exhaust tips are a little bit bigger in comparison to the first model that came out. Then moving on to the interior, where they did some changes, like for example, the screen now is a lot bigger, it's a new infotainment display, but everything else remained very much the same. What people loved the most about this is that when you sat inside, it felt like a premium or luxurious vehicle in many ways, yet you were paying a lot less, and that's what people appreciated. This car came with bolster adjustment, which could hug you while you're going around the corner, something that was used in the BMW M5, the V10, the famous E60 M5, which came out years ago. And of course, Kia managed to introduce that into a Stinger that was almost half the price of the M5, and it came with a heads-up display. You had a beautiful sunroof and tons of space in the second row, which made it even a better family car in my opinion. In fact, I just dropped off my wife at the airport with my son, could fit a child seat in the back, her behind me, and tons of space in the cargo area. The Kia Stinger was that kind of car that you didn't expect to do well on a 0 to 60 on a drag strip, and you didn't expect to do well in the market. Everyone said initially when it came out that this car was going to fail because it was just a Kia, and it proved wrong, everyone. Before this car, Kia was just another, well, let's just say, standard car maker. It didn't have anything crazy, it didn't have anything that stood out, it didn't have anything that put the brand into the car market map. This did all that. Just one car was able to elevate the brand entirely. And then you had the Kia Telluride that came next and so on. But in my opinion, this was the car that made Kia what it is today. A brand that is very respected by many, and at the same time, a brand that was able to deliver a performance vehicle for the average person. And they did it with this. Okay, foot on the brake, launch control ready. That was one of the things that I loved about this car, how easy it is to actually put it in launch control mode. And it just takes a couple of seconds and then bang on. Even BMWs can't do the launch control so well, in my opinion. Like this can do it easily. Just put it right into sport mode, turn off traction all the way, brake all the way, and bang on, launch active. That's what I loved about this thing. It's also quite, say, quick or fast in this case. You can go around the corner confidently without having to worry too much about you're gonna slide left and right. Amazing grip. The suspension is fantastic, and just can't beat the thing for the price. And that's one thing that made this so freaking popular. So many people wanted the Stinger. And another thing that made this, in my opinion, so popular with the the petrol head is the fact that it was an all-wheel drive car, and it had a V6 which was easily tunable. It made more horsepower than you thought initially, and it was still reliable. In fact, I know a bunch of guys that still have them tuned, and they're actually better when they're tuned than stock, and the potential is there. It was affordable. You can pick up one of these things right now, even used for like 45 grand easily. Or even less than that, depends on the amount of kilometers. And it was comfortable too. That's the other thing. For a day-to-day car, it did pretty much everything great. Whether it was daily commute or even taking around the track, the suspension was very good, but you can make it even better with just a couple of grands here and there. And if you wanted to keep it stock most of the time, it was still great. You could easily overtake people on a highway, merge fast, and it was spacious on the inside. You can take your entire family basically on a long trip. The boot is gigantic because it's a sportback, so it gives you a bit more of that depth in comparison to other vehicles, and you get a bit more of the height. You know, you'd pick this over a Lexus IS any day. I would, because it made sense. It was less money. It looked really nice. It's very sporty, yet a bit premium as well on the interior. Loaded with technology. Just an amazing platform overall, I have to say. I was very impressed the first time I drove this. And even till this day, you know, I remember just being so, well, like shocked. Traction stability control is disabled. Then we go full brake and then full gas. Oh my God. Oh my God, it just put me back on my seat right away. Wow.
G-force.
And it actually tells you when it's ready to go.
Yeah.
It just shows the traction control on, you're set. Wow, that was quick. Just literally like that.
Yeah, there's been times all the way down to 4.2 seconds. 0 to 100 in 4.2.
4.2.
Like Kia Canada will say 4.5 to 4.7, but I've heard times all the way down to 4.2.
Of course, sometimes they do what do you call it? Underrate the actual performance of the vehicle. Same thing does BMW for their brake horsepower. That was quick. That really, like, it just put you back on your seat right away. If I wasn't doing YouTube, where I had different cars every week and I don't need, well, let's just say a family car, this would be my choice because it's actually great for camera as well. I can set up my entire camera rig in the back, no problem. And at the same time, also has a lot of space on the interior. The passenger volume is fantastic. You can fit in 4 people, even 5 in some cases, comfortably, no problem. But 4 would be the best. You can put the child seat in the back, no issue at all. That's one thing people loved about this car, was that, and I think it made total sense. it made total sense for the price range. I'm really going to miss this thing, to have it in the fleet and review it and do comparison. Don't get me wrong, the EV6 is great. It's good, but it's electric. It's not as exciting, I'd say. And it's a lot more money than this. So it's a bad replacement to the Kia Stinger, in my opinion.